WADA exposed themselves. So for those of you who haven't heard yet, Max Purcell was banned for 18 months because he violated some rules. We'll get to that in a bit though. So when you first start with where this controversy all started, which is the Halep case. Halep took a contaminated supplement, and WADA thought that Halep did it on purpose, so they decided to ban her for 4 years, and she had to fight her way through the court to end the suspension, which took 9 months. It was a huge toll on her mental health, financial. It was just a huge stress for her. And we hope that this would be the end. And Halep actually had her career ruined by this. She retired recently. For those of you who don't know, so her career was absolutely ruined. So we hope that this would be the end of this. But Sinner, thank you along Sinner, okay? Sinner had a super strange case. There was no transparency in the process. He was banned provisionally from tournaments, but we weren't told why. We only learned this after he won Cincinnati. And during the provisional suspension, he was able to play tournaments in between. It was super weird, super suspect. And that's why people said that he had preferable treatment, because that's what you'd think, right? Halep immediately got the ban. They thought she did it on purpose. Sinner, however, was able to still play, even though he failed two drug tests. That's pretty crazy. What even makes Sinner's case even stranger is that the biggest defenders of Sinner, who people say Sinner didn't dope, they say that he had a 1/1000th of a gram of cholesterol, which couldn't have impacted his performance. But you have to understand one thing about cholesterol. It is basically has a very short half-life. It decays in the body extremely quickly. So what does that mean? That means that if I were to take cholesterol, in a few weeks, it's undetectable anymore. So it's possible because when for drug tests in professional tour, you can have drug tests whenever. And because when he had that drug test, it's possible that he had the doping way before. And it just decayed to that point where it seemed like it had no impact. What makes this even weirder is that his physio was from the country where the massage cream is made from. So he should know that that cream has cholesterol in it. And he did not. It's on the bottle, there's a huge sign where it just says cholesterol, banned substance. So it's just extremely sus, which is why people are rightfully outraged. And then we had Iga Swiatek's case. When she was missing tournaments, we had zero transparency. She said that she had some personal issues, which is why she weren't playing tournaments. Technically, though, her case was more straightforward because she was taking night pills, pills to help her sleep, and they were contaminated. So it made a lot more sense than Sinner's case. Sinner's case is extremely suspect. So this weird thing about provisional suspension, where there's no transparency for both Iga and Sinner, when they both happen to be basically one of the most renowned and respected tennis players, just further makes WADA look bad. So in Max Purcell's case, he took 2 IV drips of 500 milliliters, which both exceed the limit of 100 milliliters. Basically, there's a limit where you can have an IV drip of most 100 milliliters, and they cannot be within 12 hours of each other. And he had 2 IV drips within 12 hours of both 500 milliliters. So he absolutely violated the rule. But it is pretty clear that he just didn't know the rules. And the thing about this case with Max Purcell is that they made the provisional suspension very clear. When WADA discovered what Max Purcell had been doing, they immediately announced a provisional suspension. And they just said that there was some breaching of the rules. This is a lot more clear. If you think about this, it's a lot more clear for the Sinner and Iga. Think about their cases, they definitely had preferable treatment. There's no argument here. And the thing about Sinner's case, which is how WADA even looks even worse, is that they first said there's no fault, and they did not give him any ban at all. And then they're like, wait a second, we look bad, so we should probably try to push for a ban. And they try to push for a 1 to 2 year ban. And then they settle on a 3-month ban. But you think about it, Sinner's case, they said they found no fault, okay? In Max Purcell's case, they found a large amount of fault. In Max Purcell's case, yes, it makes sense. He clearly just completely violated the rules. He just didn't read, the rules. But he was still banned. He was supposed to be banned for 24 months, 2 years. Okay? And he clearly just didn't know what was going on. and he had to like collaborate with WADA, and he got like a 6 month deduction. So he only serves 18 months. But Sinner, his case is extremely suspect. You have to understand that a 3 month ban is absolutely nothing compared to like an 18-month ban. And his entire case, like I said earlier, is pretty hard to believe. Some people said that like there's a court document, but let's just think about it. How are you actually supposed to know whether someone has no fault or if they had fault, if they were intentionally trying to dope or not? You have to read their mind. It's not something you can just tell from their actions. And the thing is, the team is still your responsibility. It doesn't matter if Sinner's physio was the one who did it, right? You still have to be responsible for your team. You can't just have to get away with no punishment. So what I would like to see happen is Max Purcell's ban, I feel like, was too strict. I feel like it makes more sense if the time where he had that effect of like the drug, you take the prize money, the points away, and maybe like another like a 6 month ban, because it's clearly unintentional. He like said himself it was unintentional. Obviously, we can't trust his word, but the fact he took 2 IV drips of 500 milliliters and it's IV drips, I don't think he really realized what he was doing here. While Sinner's case is way more suspect. Like the bottle literally says it has cholesterol on it. Like you cannot get any more sus than what's happening with Sinner. I'm not saying Sinner is actually intentionally doping. I don't think that's the case. What I'm saying is that WADA is just making themselves look really bad. They're contradicting themselves. With these 2 different cases, it literally just looks like peripheral treatment. So this is extremely problematic for the sport, like what Djokovic said, because it's a horrible image. Trust is really hard to build back. It's really easy to destroy. You can destroy it. Like they've already completely destroyed the credibility. I don't really think anyone like actually respects WADA anymore. And when it's such a bad image for the sport, because if the fans can't trust that the players are clean, then what's the reason for them to like cheer for players? Like there's no reason for them to watch the sport anymore. They just think like these guys are good because they're on drugs. Like it's just a horrible image. The thing is, with the Sinner case, many people trusted the court, right? Like if you don't trust the court and the system, then there's nothing you can trust, right? Like if you think about like jails in like the US, if you don't trust the judicial system, that the cases that they rule on, there's no corruption, that what they're ruling on is correct. If we don't believe that fundamental ruling, then there's nothing we can believe in, right? Why isn't this entire thing just scripted? Like we could even just say that. So future decisions from WADA will always be questioned. Their reputation is destroyed. It will take decades to build back. So what really needs to happen here, in order for WADA to do the best they possibly can to rebuild their destroyed reputation, is they need to be extremely transparent from now on about the entire process, the investigation process, how everything is done. I understand that they have like stuff on their website, but that's still like not the full story. We should know the full process. Of course, each case is going to be different, but you cannot be telling us that Iga is leaving the court for personal reasons when she's actually being suspended due to drug use. Like, there's no justification for that. So thank you guys for watching, and tune in for the next video.